Today on the big show, we're hanging out with Anthony Joshi-Pawlowic, and we're talking some White Sox baseball. We'll talk a little Cuban crusher action. That's Jose Abreu. Mark Burley in the hearts and minds of Chicago's finest, though he's now in Toronto. A little Jose Fernandez talk, and finally, a little Hawk Harrelson. Let's do it. Hey, it's your good friend, it's your pal, it's your compadre. It's TC, everybody. How you doing? Got to give some attribution going back to 2005, the last time the Chicago White Sox won the World Series. That song was big, baby. Drop It Like It's Hot, a little Snoop Dogg with Farrell apparently was part of that as well. I didn't even know the guy was around back then. I guess that's my stake in pop music these days. All right. Hey, so what's the show all about? Sportsnaut Unfiltered. For me, it's all about having a laugh, making some new friends like Anthony today, and not being afraid to call the ridiculous in sports ridiculous. Because, you know, there's a lot of people walking around out there with the broomsticks up their keisters. No. That's not allowed here on the big show. We're all about having a good time all of the time. Speaking of sexy, make sure you swing on by the juggernaut of sports love. That would be sportsnot.com. That's sports as in, well, sports, and not as in you're the juggernaut, baby. Our writers over there, beyond sexy, not pulling any punches, delivering up the content that is just sublime, in my humble opinion. Before we get to Anthony, I want to mention you can follow me on Twitter if you so desire. I tweet maybe once or twice a day, if that, so I'm not going to clutter your feed with a bunch of useless crap. But when I do tweet something, it is spectacular, basically. You can follow me. It's Hey TC. That's hey as in hey. What's that guy doing over there? And T is in tits and C is in cleavage. Very nice, right? Well, maybe not. A little inappropriate, but come on, that's who I am. Finally, can I ask a favor? If you're digging on the show, you listen to the show, and you're like, hey, TC, he kind of gets it, man. And Anthony, very cool guest, like all my guests are. Have a good time on the show. I got to ask you a favor. Will you subscribe to the show on iTunes? And if you really dig on the show, if you've become a regular listener and you dig on it, I got to ask, would you tell a friend or a family member about the show? I would appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me, and I thank you in advance. So what's going on in the big show today? Well, we're talking with Anthony Joshi-Pawlowic at BeyondTheBoxScore.com, which I do believe is part of the SB Nation behemoth of love. Am I right there, or am I right?
Correct.
Very nice. What does SB, by the way, stand for? Do you know?
Sports blog. Blog Nation.
Very nice. Very nice. And, we're going to talk a little baseball with Anthony today. You can follow him on Twitter, AJP13237. Is that your license plate, buddy boy, or what?
No, it's just favorite numbers and stuff like that, and it just all came together. So I think I need to redo it someday.
Number 13. I'm going to go on a limb and say number 13 is Alex Rodriguez.
No, just general, passed down the family, just lucky number, I guess.
23. Since you're a big White Sox guy, it's got to be Michael Jordan.
That's actually true, and also Jermaine Dye, Robin Ventura, etc.
Oh yeah,
big number in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Robin wore number 23 when he was playing too. And then number 7 is I'm thinking Joe Montana, or was he number 7? I don't know.
I'm not too much of a football person, so I can't say. But again, it's just one of those family numbers. You know, you stick with it. You know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just giving you a hard time. Or Joe Mauer.
No, it's all good.
Joe Mauer, keeping it in the AL Central.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, is he number 7? I can't recall.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, nobody remembers him anymore because, yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about a little bit about the White Sox. First off, Mr. Jose Abreu. He seems to be as advertised, man. The guy is rocking it in the number 4 hole, right?
Yeah, he really has been something else, to be honest. Every time back in the day when like Frank Thomas was up and everything, they used to say it's a must-watch at bat, like a Mike Trout at bat, and really, he's the equivalent of that right now, just a must-watch at bat.
He is pretty sexy. I got to admit, when the Twins were in town earlier this year, I was watching a little bit of Jose Abreu because I was interested to see what he'd be like. And man, he's a big boy, man. He's got some size on him. Yeah, and he also as much size as much power. Every time he makes contact with the ball, it just jumps off his bat. Really, it's fun to watch. Is he like the dude from Major League where, he just crushes it out of the park, then you throw him a curve and he strikes out? Not quite, but that's more of a Diane Viciado. But, he has been prone to some of the soft stuff down and away, admittedly. But there was last week he went in a funk, really. It was like 1 for his last 20 or 25. And but now he's starting to come out of it. Texas series, and he had that ground rule double last night. How's he been at first base? He's not, he's no like a Mark Teixeira around first base or anything, but I'll give him A for effort because actually he makes a lot of like stretches and stuff. Like he puts forth effort. It's just like, he's not exactly the most sound to watch, Right. Yeah, I can understand that. You mentioned that Jose likes it soft and away. I heard that Teixeira likes the high hard one. I don't know. I'm inside pitch. That's what I'm referring to, of course. Yeah. No, I was saying he struggled a little bit down and away. But if you throw it anywhere in the heart of the plate, he's crushed it. Okay, I was too busy setting up my joke, and then you dropped in Teixeira, and I'm like, boom. Oh. Yeah, well. Anyways, but Jose Abreu's been pretty sexy so far this year, and I was telling a buddy of mine who's in a fantasy baseball league, you got to go after Jose Abreu because I think he's going to be a monster. And so far, I know he's not hitting for a high average. Do you think that's going to come around, or is he more of a 240, 30 home run guy? Well, it's still tough to say. Because he's new to the league and pitchers are new to him, and it's really different than any other like rookie situation because with typical rookies, there's a lot of video data or a lot of stuff you can go back and look at, and there's a process. However, with Abreu though, not so much. It's a little bit of a tug of war. He's gonna get his hits, and pitchers gonna have to adjust to him. And as we saw last week, he really had a tough stretch. Now he's starting to come back out of it. I think the key for him is if he can lay off those, lay off the pitches down and away, or at least be able to drive them somehow. Maybe he could be more of a closer to a 270, 280, 300 hitter. But for now, I think 250, 260 is solid enough for him to be viable. I'm guessing that the White Sox focus on Cubano-born players or Cubano players in general isn't a coincidence at this point, right? Yeah, no, I think it's just because the talent they're very talented ball players over there, and with the international signing rules, they're not terribly expensive like when you relate to like to Japan and stuff. You have to do the posting fees and stuff like that. Here, not so much. And if you get a good ball player like a Puig, a Cespedes, or a Abreu, or even Chapman, you could hit the jackpot. Do you think Abreu ended up in Chicago because of Alexi Ramirez? Isn't he Cuban as well as Viciado? Yeah. He said that did play factor in his decision. However, keep in mind though, it's also the Sox, I believe, were the top bidder at $68 million. So but then also I believe Colorado was over like 63. So put all the factors together, and I think it was just a logical place for him. Also, we had a need there. Right. That makes sense. We're hanging out with Anthony Joshi-Pawlowic. Once again, I did that pretty good, right? No?
Yeah, good.
I need to be reassured, Anthony. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
And we're talking White Sox baseball. The website is beyondtheboxscore.com, and you can follow him on Twitter, AJP13237. So one of the things, I was reading one of your articles about, I'm a big fan of thinking that Major League Baseball players in general have gone soft. Not in terms of the fact that, hey, we're doing, the bodybuilding and we're doing the body, we're working out all year long, doing the CrossFit, whatever. But, we're barely getting any 200 inning pitchers anymore. And like my Minnesota Twins recently were carrying 13 pitchers on the roster. It's just like, with all this pitch count stuff. And I know that you recently wrote an article, should the 200 inning limit be replaced with a 3,000 pitch count limit for starting pitchers? What are your thoughts on the whole? I'm going to call it what I think it is the pussification of pitchers in baseball these days.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I had a much stronger stance on this before all these injuries throughout spring training. So many arm injuries that have happened, and also now, Chris Sale just hit the DL yesterday. So, but I mean, it's
It's a tough
it's one of those things. Sorry?
Yeah, I was saying it's a tough one, right? I think that a lot of this is caused, and just to jump in really quick, I think a lot of it's caused by these damn smartphones and smart tablets because you got your elbow bent. I know once I bought my iPhone 4 like 4 years ago or whatever it was, I go to play catch now and my elbow hurts. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it plays into it. Also, I think, who was that? I think it was Tom Verducci last week or something. He did an article on some of the recent injuries and everything. I think a lot of it's also just a lot of pitchers get overworked in, they have travel leagues, little leagues, pro leagues, and then minor leagues. And, but before these guys even throw pitches, like even get to the major league level, they've thrown probably at least tens of thousands of pitches. And, they're trying to get that like top draft pick and everything. So they're trying to, show off the velocity and everything. So it really, that could play into it,
Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty good too. Also, what are your thoughts on, back in the day, pitchers, weren't lifting the weights and weren't doing the CrossFit stuff. They were out there, they'd take the off season off, look at guys like David Wells and even Burley. I know you just wrote a column on Burley called The Edge Master. I mean, Bart Burley is not a specimen of, he's not Albert Pujols by any means when it comes to the way he looks. But here's a guy that goes out and does it every fifth day at this point.
Yeah, and also I think part of it's also just, some guys just have like natural ability, naturally built talents, and just it's really kind of like a lottery. Just you might just get lucky. Like I mean, Mark Burley, for instance, he's thrown at least 3,000 pitches every year for the past, I want to say like 14, 15 years. So that's 45,000 some pitches around. And some guys just have it. I think like Jamie Moyer, he didn't have Tommy John until 49, I believe.
Right.
Or 45. I don't know. He was up there.
Yeah, he was really up there. Is he still pitching? I think he's pitching now in like an independent league. I'm not sure.
If I'm not mistaken, he retired, but I'd have to look at that. I'd have to look into that.
No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, that guy's going to be pitching. He's going to be he's going to be one foot in the grave, and he's still going to be pitching out there. Man, that guy was a modern wonder. Can Mark Burley be that type of guy where, when he's 44 years old, can he still be pitching in the major leagues, you think?
I mean, I'd like to say I hope so. But, I mean, you never know. He's 35. I think it's just one of those things where the arm will, he'll pitch till his arm falls off,
As a White Sox fan, were you disappointed that he left the White Sox?
Yeah, a little bit. And actually, I got to see his last game pitched. It was really it was a moment. It was like this could be his last game ever, and go figure it was. And in retrospect, if you're going to spend the money on, I believe he was $56 million, and they signed John Danks in that off season for the same kind of money, I mean, on paper it makes sense. He signed Danks, but then he had the injuries and everything. So Mark Buehrle, though, he's always going to have a special place in Sox fans' hearts. He was a great pitcher, great pitcher.
You mentioned Chris Sale, and to quote the great Hawk Harrelson, he gone now. How are the White Sox? How are the White Sox going to do without him? And what's the extent of the injuries? Is this 2 weeks or is this 2 months or what?
Well, it's a little hard to say because as far as we know, it's just a mild flexor strain, which is around the elbow, and sometimes these things can go away, with just rest. Like, for instance, last year, this happened or 2 years ago maybe, Gavin Floyd, Sox pitcher, and he was fine, but then actually it flared up again, and then he had to have Tommy John. So it's one of those things where you might have to just put on some kid gloves, and until he comes back, though, Charlie Leisman, Sox pitcher from the minors, got called up. He's going to be making a start tonight. And then Andre Rienzo, another young starter for the Sox, he's supposed to be tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Are either of these guys phenom material, or are they just kind of career minor league material type guys?
If anyone's probably going to have a decent career, it's probably more Rienzo, maybe a fourth or fifth starter. Leisman's more of the fodder guy. Minor league fodder, but, you never know. Some of these guys, they just can come up, and then, like, Jesse Chavez of the Oakland Athletics just came out of nowhere, and he's pitched fabulously so far. So, sometimes it's a little luck,
Right. The website is beyondtheboxscore.com. Anthony is the aficionado. Tell me a little bit about that website. It's basically kind of, I know a lot of your articles, as I was looking and reading through some of your articles, you're kind of going in depth. You're very a little stat happy, and that's a good thing in my humble opinion, and a lot more than just kind of the regular sputum that comes out of most of the baseball sites out there, right?
Yeah. No, we are a sabermetrically inclined a website. It's just, there's so much information out there that you can't possibly have it all in one place, because, like, you have so many people that are writing. Like, for instance, probably the most prominent sabermetric website is Fangraphs, Baseball Prospectus, and places like that. So we're just another platform, and hopefully what we can provide is just more information for more fans, and hopefully just keep drawing people in, because sabermetrics, in my opinion, it is the future of baseball. And I just, the more people you can get in, I think that the more informed people can become, and the more knowledgeable, and the better we can all have a enjoyment of the game.
But there is no metric at this point for the heart. There's no Kirby Puckett. There's no Dustin Pedroia. There's no Jesse Chavez, as you mentioned, right?
Well, don't tell that to Hawk Harrelson. He'll tell you TWTW, which stands for the will to win.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to quantify these kinds of things. Actually, Vince Gennaro, the president of SABR at the SABR Analytics Conference in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, he's actually trying to quantify some of this stuff, and it's interesting. There's probably some sort of correlation and some type of relationship, like team chemistry and all that good stuff for, like, wins and everything, but it's difficult to quantify.
Maybe you could quantify it with, whether they run out every grounder, whether they're not flipping the bat a la Carlos Gomez every time they, think they've done something great, that will to win. Though I guess in some ways, though, on the other side, Gomez got that will to win, so it's kind of a catch-22 if you're trying to quantify it.
Yeah, and I think actually most players probably do, the will to win. It's funny to say, but I mean, obviously they're trying to go out there and play to win, and better the team, and obviously you want to put themselves in a good position for contracts and whatever not. So yeah, I think everyone has it to an extent. Maybe some players have it more than others. Who knows?
I'm of the opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong in this case. We shall see. I believe Hawk Harrelson is the greatest broadcaster in the history of the world. I wish that he was doing, Twins games for me or Viking games or whatever.
Hey, I won't disagree. I might not put him at the greatest because I think Vince Scully is pretty impressive. But I personally, I love Hawk. He's just, a lot of these people that don't like him say that he's too homer. But for me personally, if I'm going to watch a Sox game, I want a guy who cares about the White Sox. I'm not saying I screw objectivity, but just have some fun, enjoy your team. And I love it. I will admit there are times where he does make me cringe a couple times, but for the most part, I like him, and I would love to see him stay in the booth as long as he can.
Yeah, I'm not a White Sox fan by any means. We're rivals, right? I mean, the Twins, even though we can't win in the postseason, at least you guys won a World Series here recently. It's been 25 years nearly for us in Minnesota. But hey, I love watching Hawk Harrelson, even if he's talking about the Twins. I'll tune in. I'll look for opportunities to watch Harrelson on WGN, though I don't seem to find those too often anymore these days.
Yeah, I mean WGN's more inclined towards the Cubs. Just I think that's like their main broadcasting thing.
Right.
But he's a treat to listen to.
We're speaking with go ahead.
I'm sorry. Continue.
I was going to say we're speaking with Anthony Joshi-Pawlowic, and you can find him at beyondtheboxscore.com, and you can follow him on Twitter, AJP13237. One final question I got for you, buddy boy. You wrote an article earlier in the year about the sky is the limit for Jose Fernandez.
Yeah.
I had a fearless prediction as the season started. This was before he came out and had that good opening day start, that he would not only win the Cy Young this year, the Marlins would make the playoffs, and he would also win the MVP in the National League. I'm not feeling too confident 3 weeks in, but what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about the playoffs and World Series stuff, but I think if there's one guy in the NL that could, I think playing Kershaw as well, but there's one guy in the NL that could pull it off. It's Jose Fernandez that could win a Cy Young and an MVP in the same year. He's phenomenal. He's downright filthy. I firmly believe the sky's the limit for the kid.
We should call him Pigpen, all of the Peanuts, right? Because he's so damn filthy.
Maybe, you never know. I mean, I don't know if he'd like that, but from a baseball standpoint, it might fit.
Actually, he could call that to his bullpen. They could call it the pig pen. Jose Fernandez comes in, gives them 8 innings, and then they bring in the bullpen and they blow the game, right? So.
Yeah. With their offense, though, outside stand, it might be a 1-0 game.
So I lied. One final question: the AL Central's looking kind of, I don't know. I think the word to use maybe is a little uninspiring these days. Who's going to come out of there, and who's going to win the AL Central in your mind?
I'd love to say the White Sox, but if you want to be objective about it, it's the Tigers are still the cream of the crop, even with Miggy slumping and Verlander not being quite what he is. They just have so much talent there that I would be surprised. I really would be surprised if they don't win it. I mean, the Royals and the Indians, they're good teams. I think they can probably grab. Well, they'll at least be in contention for a wild card spot, but it's the Tigers division to lose.
My Royals aren't looking so good. In fact, I predicted, this is how horrible my predictions are. I predicted Billy Butler would win the batting title this year. He's going to have to go some at this point.
Yeah, he's a good hitter, though. I mean, hopefully it's just a slump, but he should probably turn around soon enough.
You didn't even mention my Twins, so I appreciate that because since
I'm sorry. Hey, the future is bright for the Twins, though. Buxton, Sano, just those guys alone have such upside. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know, but that's unless they have Tommy John surgery and like Sano's already had, and when the Twins re-signed Ron Gardenhire to another 2-year deal, they became officially dead to me. So.
Well, just hang in there. They're going to be good. Just takes time.
Yep, indeed it does. All right, well, good luck to the White Sox this year, and of course, beyond the box score, very sexy, and I appreciate the time, buddy boy. You are the best.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, let's wrap it up. Of course, you can find the show in iTunes. Make sure you subscribe. It's also available on Stitcher if you have one of those fancy HTC One phones or one of the Samsung S5s. You can check it out on Stitcher, or it's available in an app called Swell. So that's pretty sexy. The website is sportsnaut.com. If you want to swing on by and check it out, of course, you can email me at tc@sportsnaut.com, and you can follow me on Twitter. Hey, TC. Very nice. Once again, big thanks to Anthony for coming on the big show. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter as well. It's AJP13237. And the website of love where Anthony is releasing his inner muse. It's at beyondtheboxscore.com. Big show in the book for the day. Have yourself a great evening. And I'll see you in the emergency room.
Drop it like it's hard. Drop it like it's hard. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hard. Park it like it's hard. Park it like it's hard. And if get an attitude, pop it like it's hard. Pop it like it's hard. Pop it like it's hard.